Welcome back to Walk-Ins Welcome, and we have a guest today. We've had a lot of guests recently.
Yes,
but
it's been busy.
It has been busy, but here's what's really cool. We have a guest from American Family Care, which is super awesome because, I mean, American Family Care is super well known in the urgent care industry. I mean, you're one of the founders, essentially, in terms of what that industry even is. But today we have Meagan Price on here. She's in the franchise marketing world. We'll talk more about that in a second, but we're super excited to have you on, Meagan.
Awesome.
Thanks, Michael.
Let me give you a proper introduction here. So Meagan is the current vice president of marketing at American Family Care and AFC Franchising LLC. Meagan has 8 years. That's a long time, especially in this world of multi-location healthcare marketing experience. And you began your career at American Family Care back in 2020. What a weird and crazy time.
Yeah, that's a rough time to start
a career.
Wild.
In the not only franchise, but just in urgent care in general. But you started as the franchise marketer and promoted to your current role in 2022. Check it out. Meagan has a degree in communication from the University of Alabama.
Using that degree.
I'm waiting on the roll tide.
Yeah,
Roll Tide.
There it is. I knew it was coming.
Into it.
I knew it was coming. She's a member of the Junior League of Birmingham. That's pretty awesome. Yep. Certificated, in leadership and strategy, and has a Service Excellence Award through the Chief Marketing Officer Institute. Say hello to the Walk-Ins Welcome podcast audience and tell us one thing about yourself that nobody else knows.
Thanks so much for that introduction, Nick. Really excited to be joining you guys today and all the listeners. That's a hard question, but I'm going to say a lot of folks don't know that I took piano lessons for 10 years. We're talking a decade. Don't ask me to play piano, though.
Oh, no.
That's probably a fun fact that no one knows, and probably wise that they don't know. 10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Practice is important.
Critical.
Play, though.
Well, that's fantastic. So we have a piano extraordinaire, former don't ask her to play.
Yeah, there you go. She can sit the piano, but that's as far as it goes.
Well, look, I will ask, I think, a good question because you have a storied history already, 8 years in the making of being a marketer in the urgent care space. I want to back that out just a little bit. What caused you to fall in love with marketing in the first place?
Yeah, honestly, I went into advertising and public relations from an undergrad standpoint. And like many folks that go down that path, I was really thinking, I don't want hard math classes. Little did I know, right? Math is so important. Now we have tools like Excel to do our formulas for us. But that was probably what led me into my field in general. But really, I think that relationships are so important. And, outside of my undergraduate degree, I did a lot of internships, and those skills that I learned during my internships, and then just the relationships with previous employers, led me into the healthcare field. I've only ever been in healthcare marketing, started out more specialty in the optometric sector. Eye care, which led me into urgent care at American Family Care, or accessible primary care. So that's really the path that I took. But, I think that the marketing industry is such an awesome industry to be a part of. You're able to consistently learn. Things are evolving so quickly. I mean, now we have things like AI and ChatGPT popping up, and how is that going to change our landscape? So I really think that it's an awesome industry to be in, coupled with being able to contribute, give back. Healthcare, we are serving patients, so it's really purpose-driven work. And I think that's important whenever you think about career paths and what you're doing. We often spend more times with our work family than our actual family. Right. So if you're doing purposeful work, if you're being fulfilled, I think it's all worth it.
Oh, that is so good.
And that is a beautiful answer.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of the top 5 answers we've received on the podcast. So well done on that.
Very good.
I mean that
very
sincerely.
Good.
You can go back and listen, and I have not said that before.
Yeah, that was good.
Absolutely. Well, look, you went and dove in head first. So I'm so glad that you brought this up. I want to know, because we're going to talk marketing. I'm excited about talking marketing. And if you're listening right now, you need to understand, if you're a single location or maybe you have 3 or 5, we're talking with somebody who has experience with hundreds.
Yeah, over
of urgent
over
cares.
300.
Right.
And like you're dealing with them on an individual, like we were talking about right before the episode started, and you're working with all of them. Like it's not just a couple of them. Like everything, you have such a major impact on these individual clinics, and I think that's worth noting too. Like you're at a very, I say this, who's on the call right now has such an impact and insight of what's going on in the world of marketing for urgent care. So like this is going to be a great episode no matter how it gets cut through. So, but go back to what you were saying, Nick.
Yeah, I want to hear how do you make, at American Family Care, how do you make your service small and unique and individual?
Yeah.
How do you utilize your marketing to talk to the consumer?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we're a franchise system. We have 80, about to be 80. This month we will open our 80th corporate owned location, but we have 230 plus franchise locations. And so they're their own independently owned and operated locations. So a lot of groups we're chatting about, corporate stakeholders, and then our individually owned and operated locations that have their own team. So what we do from a marketing standpoint, specifically to our franchise locations, is provide them with the tools and resources they need to be able to execute to reach their revenue goals, right? And I think it's important to keep at the forefront that healthcare is local. It's an intimate relationship between a patient and their doctor, their medical, their healthcare provider. And so, really marketing falls into that. One of the early initiatives that I was tasked with, it wasn't my idea. I was on board with it though, but was tasked to execute a website migration. We had fragmentation. Our locations had their own individual websites, and
I've come across those before.
Yep, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. But we merged all of our locations into one website, a national site, and then all of our locations had microsites. And truly having that national presence, but not losing the hyper localness of the location is so important. Because again, going back to healthcare is local. I think that your online footprint is so important whenever you think about how someone is going to find you. Your traditional marketing funnel, right? The consideration factor. Mm-hmm. What's your consumer going to go to? They're going to Google. They're searching urgent care near me. They're searching walk-in clinic. They're searching stitches near me, whatever that search term may be. Yep. You want to make sure that your location is showing up for that, not AFC National. AFC National can't help you. AFC Greystone, they're the location that's going to be able to help service you. So really understanding the impacts of your online performance, your search engine optimization. Prior to jumping on real time, we talked about Google being king. Your Google business profile, in my opinion, arguably more important than your website.
Yes.
Ensuring that's optimized and accurately representing you and your services. So we focus on a lot of those things to help from a local standpoint. Now, we're marketers. MarTech is important. We love, especially at our size, you have to be scalable. So we definitely leverage technology to be able to help us with this. Mm-hmm. But really focus in on those local services, those local connections, communities, which neighborhoods you're targeting from a performance standpoint.
All right, I'm going to ask. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I want to know what your favorite technologies for marketing are right now. What are the ones that you're using? Like, I want to do this every day. I love it.
Yeah, so I have a lot that are saved.
Give me your top three.
Like, what's the ones on your favorites bar that you tap every day?
Yeah, the ones that you saved as a bookmark.
So I live in Google Analytics. I live in SEMrush. Okay. And also it's called SIMS. It's our mapping. It's our internal mapping where we have all of our locations pinned. We're able to pull households, where our patients live. We're able to do prospecting, potential patients, We call it creepy data. We're marketers, so
Yeah.
so we know that some things that we do is a little intrusive, but we're also able to see cell phone pings. So where our patients were before they came to us and after, and where they work. So I think that it's so important to understand your patients. If you understand your audience, you know how to market to them. You know how you're going to be able to communicate and really establish those relationships that make them come back to you, not just get them through the doors. We don't want to treat them and street them. We want them to come back. We want them to be patients for life. So really understanding our audience is so important, and that information helps us.
I tell you, you could probably teach your own webinar. Or everything you're
I don't think so.
No, you
One
really
thing
could, because
that-
everything you're saying is like we've mentioned all this, and there's something I haven't heard of this internal mapping piece you had mentioned. I haven't heard that software yet.
That sounds like it's proprietary.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
The information in it is proprietary, but not the actual tool. You can build it out, but outside of just general technology, I think something that we lean on. I'd mentioned relationships, but truly just team members.
Yeah.
All components of the business are so important. I actually, before this podcast, was reflecting on just how marketing plays a role in the general operations of a clinic.
Yeah.
And the marketing department and operations they go hand in hand. We get them to church. Operations gets them to pray, right? And so, so we
like
really, One of my mentors said that to me, and it just kind of clicked. It was a good analogy. But really just people, human capital, intellectual property. We're constantly in communication with each other to understand perspectives and anything that we need to tweak or focus on. So outside of the actual technology that helps drive us forward every day, definitely think having a strong team is so important. And then just that constant communication, sharing knowledge.
That's good. So you had brought up something, and I'm going to kind of take a little bit of a transition here because I definitely want to pick your brain on it. When we talked before we hopped on here, that I gave a talk at the Urgent Care Association. Mm-hmm. Part of my talk was artificial intelligence and how to create content on demand. ChatGPT, those type of things. You said that you're incorporating that. I would love to know how you're incorporating AI at Mass.
Yeah, so we actually haven't incorporated it too much into our
smart move. Actually, that's why I was like, I want to know where you are.
Yeah. So I'm excited about the innovation here. I think that healthcare can be a little behind the curve from a business technology standpoint. I think that we see that some, and understanding how we're going to be able to use chat GPTs from a healthcare standpoint is quite fascinating to me. Now, from a marketing standpoint, I know some folks have been leveraging it for content writing, and Google's smart, guys.
Yeah, we preached that. Like don't copy paste chat GPT responses. It's gonna hurt you.
It is going to hurt you. Actually, the biggest way that we've been utilizing it is, I like to say it's our best associate because it doesn't hit the payroll. Research. We use it for research. We know that there are limitations. We know that we have to fact check. We know that it doesn't go back. It's not holistic.
It goes to 2021.
2021. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, being able to plug in a good prompts are important, a good prompt, and quickly just get this information, ideas. It's been really neat to be able to play around with it for quick response on some maybe topics that we're chewing on, research, event coordination, how to maybe look at something a little differently. It's been pretty neat tool to play with.
That's fantastic. Now that's the chat GPT side. Are you playing with any other AI that's functional?
Not really. Not right now.
I mean, there's such crazy types of AI out there. Like there's one called Otter that if I were to turn it on this call, it would take everything we said and turn it into notes and send it to me. Yeah. Like there's just crazy applications.
And then I found Futurepedia, which is like the repository of all the AI software that's currently available right now. So like it's just I think it had listed like 2,300 different AI softwares.
Right.
And the site's only been live for like 4 months. Like
yep. Oh, that's right. That's what you.
Yeah, I joke with about AI. It's like the snake oil of the industry because you don't know what you're buying. It seems really cool, but then when you peel it back, like that's what they're doing with it. You know, it's there's a lot of hokiness in some of it. So
we have one of our vendor partners that we work with has some AI built. We haven't tested it yet. It's we have a demo coming up, but it's leveraging AI for review responses. So
that could be tricky.
Yeah,
HIPAA.
Right. So
they can say whatever they want, but if you use chat or any other AI and it says, "Hey, we're glad we were able to set that broken leg,"
that's the equivalent of where you have the self-driving car that has the wreck. Whose fault is it?
Whose fault? Right. So that'll be interesting to see how they've incorporated AI into review responses. Not sure how that's going to go, but I like to be able to see that. Think smarter, not harder. We spend a lot of time responding to our reviews. The patient experience is so important. If you have a negative review, it's oftentimes how you respond to that negative review. Don't want to lose the human component, obviously, within the halo of HIPAA compliance. But if at some point there's a solution that's a viable solution, that would be something interesting to help drive us forward.
I mean, I think it'd be cool if that software could, at a minimum, see a bad review come in and then summarize it and send it to the correct person to contact, and that would be ideal and not harmful.
Right.
Well, I mean, they're integrating it into softwares everywhere now. I mean, you'll have an EMR at some point that'll have AI generated looking for prompts that you've told it to look for. That'll then flag the system and send it to the proper. It's going to go nuts. It's going to go nuts, and I'm excited. I'm here for it. Is that the way they say it now? I'm here for it.
Yeah. It'll be fun to watch the space race, the modern day space race.
Yeah. 2.0, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
So there was Internet 1, Internet 2. Now there's AI.
There you go.
What do you do?
I can't even imagine. I can't even think past the time that we didn't have the internet. That seems wild.
Well, I'm older than everybody on this call today, and I can actually remember. I'm that. So there's like the Gen X, which is I'm in a Gen X, but then there's the millennials, but there's this little microcosm of the zillennials or whatever they call them. Is like Gen X / millennials that we remember when there was absolutely no technology, and then we fully embraced it. Now we're all in on the technology.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, and like we bring on a lot of college interns, and when we're talking to them, like they were born after 9/11, and you're just like, oh, and they're like, what do you mean there wasn't an iPhone back in the early 2000s? You're like, right? When I was a senior in high school, that's when the iPhone came out. So, like, things change.
Well, let's get back to marketing from a franchise and multi-location. We'll just say it that way. So you have best practices, but you also have to stay nimble, right? And incorporate these new ideas. And it's easy to turn a jet ski around, but it's hard to turn around a mega yacht.
And everybody on board knows what's happening.
That's right. Without knocking everybody down and tables flipping over, right? So how are you doing that? How are you incorporating some of these new technologies without breaking everybody?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, and something that I didn't necessarily fully appreciate until joining a franchise system. I've always been in healthcare marketing, corporate. It was corporate healthcare. Franchise, different beast. We do have a franchise advisory council, which is such a great council that when we come up with ideas, we can present to them, and they're able to speak on behalf of the franchise system. We have a marketing subcommittee as part of that franchise advisory council, and so it's really a sounding board. They present ideas to us that maybe the franchisees have been talking about on their communication platforms. And so they bring it to us to be able to execute at scale if it makes sense for the brand. So really leveraging those two avenues to be able to get everyone rowing in the same direction is important, because we don't want to make decisions in an ivory tower, right? We want to ensure that everyone understands the purpose, the end goal, and that our franchisees, their locations are that end goal. Whenever they win, we win. And so I think that's probably one of the more challenging components, or can be one of the more challenging components of a franchise body and marketing, making national marketing decisions. We recently launched national marketing campaign. It was the first of our kind. It was actually really exciting. We did a full shoot down in New Orleans. We used can't exactly remember what the technology was. That's a little above my pay grade. I'm not super in the IT, but it was the same technology that they used in the Avatar movies. We had a virtual. Yeah, it was really neat. We had a virtual clinic built out for us to really be able to afford us the flexibility, not having to close down, not having to be confined to, an exam with full talent, full camera crew, light, and a lot of, back and forth with our franchise council, our our team, the marketing team, executive leadership, really ensuring that everyone was happy and comfortable with the direction of not only the creative, but really the buy too. And so it's a little bit of politicking. Not everyone is a marketer. I think the thing that whenever you're looking at the franchise and everyone is different. Our franchises are different. They have different backgrounds, different experiences. Not all of them have a marketing background. So really take the information that we know and be able to condense it where someone can understand it.
Okay, so we just wrapped that up. What I want to talk about now is most small businesses, healthcare is no different, fail in the first 5 years, 65%. 65%. And it goes to 55% in the first 10 years. And then here comes a franchise model in the healthcare industry that provides a system for people to be successful. Let's talk about how you're able to accomplish that in the healthcare space. Because I don't see a ton of, outside of hospitals, I don't see a ton of urgent cares making this work the same way.
Well, and then looking at too, when you're bringing on a new franchise, like probably a new location, right? So you got to like prep that location per se from a marketing standpoint, because we know ourselves working with other urgent cares, you can, if you're doing it right, you can have a really good first step on Google before that location is even fully open. And we've seen that. But yeah, give us your perspective on all that.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And a really astounding statistic, right? So, I think that whenever one of the unique things about American Family Care is there's not another option for healthcare franchising whenever it comes to the type of healthcare that we're doing. Senior care, home care, those type of things, physical therapy, yes, it's out there, but not accessible primary care, not at the level that we're doing it. And so we really afford entrepreneurs, business owners to really join something. Again, we talked about purpose-driven organizations to provide an impact in their communities. They don't have to have a medical degree. Actually, there's a very small percentage of our franchise owners that are actually medical providers or have any healthcare experience at all. So, it's a really great option for folks that are looking to have their own business, create their own destiny. But we provide them with the tools, right? So, one of the great things about joining a franchise is you have the secret sauce, you have the manuals. We are not going to put any of our franchisees in a situation where their location isn't already or that location isn't brand receptive. We do a lot of research on the front end. We know our audience, we know our segmentation, where our business model is going to work the best. And outside of outside of marketing, there's really, and even I don't even know if I would even say marketing. It's hard to fix a bad location.
Yeah.
And so, location. So important. But to your point, all the resources from the finding a location to opening the location, credentialing is challenging, staffing, how to run the business operations standpoint. We don't give medical advice. That's up to the medical director that our franchisee hires. But really providing them a turnkey solution to be able to operate their location. And that's what they buy into. And we have staying power. I mean, this year we will celebrate in June our 41st anniversary. So, we have, right.
That's so crazy to think about.
That's incredible.
I mean, you guys were basically the pioneers of urgent care.
That's right.
Yeah. Dr. Irwin had a great vision that stemmed from the emergency room days. Whenever he was a doctor, he identified a need, an additional access point, and that's really what we provide our patients. Don't want emergency room, primary care. It's hard to get into. We are there to provide that convenience. We like to say, we help patients live their life uninterrupted, and that's really what we're here for. All urgent cares, on-demand care, immediate care, walk-in clinics.
Okay, so the fact that y'all have this system in place, that's incredible. Being around for 41 years, unbelievable.
And growing every year.
And growing every year.
Yeah.
Yep, adding new
We
locations.
open about 60 locations a year.
How many?
60.
About 60.
Say that one more time.
60.
The big number.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, we're talking like 5 a month, right?
and all of this to make a big deal about one specific thing. You're the VP of marketing for all of this. That's no joke. Like, your stuff. You got the chops for this. So I want to congratulate you on your success in getting to that role. And I'm just going to sit down at the feet of the master here when you get to that level. What do we need to know in the urgent care space about marketing that we probably don't know? I asked you earlier about something about yourself. Tell us something that we don't know that we should know.
Oh gosh, I don't consider myself an expert at anything. I think we're all continuously learning, and I think that a lot of us take ideas, repurpose ideas. So important to be in conversations, have a network, to be able to bounce, soundboard, see what's emerging trends. But honestly, I just, and this isn't new news, right? I think it all goes back to patient experience, understanding your audience, and really, and you guys have podcasts on this, have content around this, owning the online space. I think that that's one of the most important things that as marketers we can focus on right now. Community marketing is an important aspect too. You want to be the mayor in your town. Whenever folks think of or need, acute care, you want them to think of your location. That's how we present. That's how we communicate to our franchisees and really our clinical administrators. Everyone in a clinic is a brand ambassador and represents, a larger piece of the puzzle. It's not just your location. Whenever you're looking at multi units, there's a bigger brand, a bigger purpose. So I don't really have anything other than own your online presence. One thing that we work heavily on is our search engine optimization. Looking at your keywords, the content, layout, that user experience to increase those conversions. Schema. So do you have schema on your site? What does that look like? Work with your partners if you don't know what that is, right? So there's a lot out there that plays into how you're going to rank from a search standpoint, and just learn, just be hungry and just learn more, I guess.
Well, and I think it goes back to we remind people, you can't live off the if we build it, they will come. Like
Right.
there's a huge demand for urgent care, but if you don't get the basics in the right place, doing the right things, it doesn't matter.
No,
Like-
because the people that are doing it right will step in and fill that gap for you.
Yeah, like I don't
Well,
see
yeah.
an American Family Care close. I don't think I've ever come across one unless they're remodeling, right? Like I've
You know,
never
that's
seen.
a-
I've never seen one
That's
close.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you build it, they will not come. That's something that, I think that everyone learns at some point. But I will say that we often get asked during the discovery phase, give us an example of maybe a location that did not perform as expected early on, didn't perform to the pro forma expectations, right? And one of the things that we say based on knowledge is they didn't market. And so that's so important. Exterior signage is great, but I like to call it a roadblock. You want to be everywhere that your consumer is going to be. And so if you create these roadblock moments, you'll be able to accomplish those goals.
Oh, that's
I
good.
love it. Well, you bridged the gap earlier about how y'all go into a market as location, location, location. And I think the other argument would be that your digital presence needs to be looked at like real estate, location, location, location. You need to be in the map 3-pack. You need to have your ad up top, front, and center. You need to be organically ranking, right? When people are going to your website, you need to be retracing them and remarketing to them later down the road. All right, so I want to switch gears and then take us out of here because this has been an outstanding conversation.
I love having interviews with marketing people because it goes so much longer than it should because
Yeah, we
there's
go
so much
deeper.
deep. Like we can just have a nice conversation about
right.
marketing. Anyway,
That's right.
We talk too much.
That's okay.
there you go.
That's part of the marketing gig, isn't
The
it?
more you talk, the more money you make, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's that intentional shut up that you got to get around to. Right? Just finally let somebody make a decision. All right, so what I wanted to ask you is, we know Google is the standard. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. We know Facebook, Instagram. What are marketing trends that you're seeing that you're excited about?
Oh gosh, well,
Something
we
new.
mentioned something new. Yeah, we mentioned Chat GPT. That's to be determined on what that looks like. One thing that isn't necessarily new, but I don't, and this is just my opinions, what we're seeing in our system and other urgent care networks, geofencing. That's something that it's not new, but it's not fully tapped into. So being able to geofence, I think that's definitely something.
What should they be geofencing?
Well, high populated areas. If you're having any parades that are coming up, if you have festivals. Now, sometimes they're internet blocks, right? So be mindful of that. So I think that's really interesting. Employer groups. Now, again, kind of be mindful of any type of internet blocks or restrictions, but occupational health, occupational medicine, that's a big driver for healthcare. So being able to target geofence some of those larger employer groups, the Amazons of the world, big office parks, that's an opportunity to look at. Not necessarily a new trend, but definitely one that hasn't been fully tapped into.
That is an awesome answer. I'm glad to get something different than just your typical things.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
I'm curious, real quick before we finish up, are you guys touching TikTok at all?
We are not touching TikTok.
Okay.
All right, we're done with this call. We're
not
done with this
saying
call.
Not saying that we might not evolve to
We're
TikTok
crushing it.
at some point. Are you
Crushing
guys?
it. On
We
TikTok for our
love
urgent
TikTok.
cares.
We
Go.
do like direct comparisons to Facebook ads and everything, and
It's
TikTok
not even
rules
close.
it. And then it's incredible.
Anyway, it's
Yeah.
worth looking into.
Well, you have a captive audience.
We tell them all the time, but they
definitely-
won't do it because everybody's afraid of video.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Are
think
you,
that
are you listening to me, audience? You're afraid of video and you need to get over it.
we'll chat offline.
There you go. There
Okay.
you go.
Anyway, look, I have had an amazing time talking with you, Meagan. I'm so glad you brought your expertise and your professionalism to the podcast today. And I really want to encourage everybody to go back and listen to this podcast again. This is one of those repeat podcasts. This isn't the listen to it once and check the box. Go back and listen to some of the nuggets that she's brought to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just and the nice part is you're confirming things that have been said in the past. Like, we're not fluffing stuff. Like, to me, if any urgent care is listening, it's, well, American Family Care is like the gold standard up there. Like, if you mention urgent care, American Family Care, actually, I know this, American Family Care gets more search volume than urgent care on certain cities. Like, we see that in the data all the time. So you guys own the presence.
Yeah, I need y'all to chill out a little bit on
that.
Yeah. Making things hard for the rest
like,
of us.
Half of our time, like, how do we get in front of American Family Care? We get that question a lot. So,
I'm kidding. We wouldn't have had you on if we thought differently.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, before we close out, I want people to be able to connect with you who may have questions about franchise, who may have questions about marketing. They don't want to come to an agency and ask questions because they feel like they're going to get sold to, and I get that. Yeah. So, but you are in the trenches out there doing marketing on a daily basis. How can we connect with you and our audience?
Absolutely. LinkedIn would probably be the best avenue, / Meagan F. Price. Is that URL, and happy to answer any emails. mprice@afcurgentcare.com. My inbox kind of looks a little crazy right now, but always happy to connect and chat marketing, chat healthcare. Like I said, relationships are so important. You never know where they're going to go from a connection standpoint. We have to grow our network. We have to work together. So I'm happy to connect with anyone.
All right.
Awesome.
If you're anything like me, you get 1 million inboxes on your LinkedIn every day. You get every email that comes in says quick question. So here's what I want the audience to do. If you actually have a question for Meagan, I heard you on Walk-Ins Welcome is how you start that conversation.
Yeah, but that's how you start. Put that in that subject line.
That's how you start.
So you can say, "Oh, this is legit."
Yeah, I just don't. If you put quick question, that's an immediate delete.
Yeah,
I already know it.
That's instant spam,
right? So Meagan, thank you for being on the podcast with us today. We are absolutely going to reach out in the future to have you back on.
Nick, Michael, thank you so much for the opportunity. Listeners, hope you enjoy the podcast. Continue following these guys; they're great.
Thank you.
Thanks.